Hello everyone, it's Eddie and welcome to the premiere episode of the Extra Inning, Team Steezy's Seattle Mariners and Major League Baseball weekly recap. On our first episode, James Paxton's season might be over, the All-Star game moves out of Atlanta, and a funny story involving the Chicago White Sox, and more. Before we get into it, take this time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like the video while you're at it as well. Alright, let's play ball. Our first segment is called Hit or Misses, Things I Liked, Things I Didn't Like regarding the Mariners over the past week. First up, the Mariners walk-off home opener. The Mariners' come-from-behind win was capped off by a Jake Fraley at-bat that resulted in a very unusual bases-loaded, bases-on-balls walk-off victory. This drove in Evan White, who started the extra innings on second base as per Major League Baseball's new extra innings rule. The late-game rally almost overshadowed some Ichiro-style hustle from Mitch Haniger out in right field. His sliding catch late in the game gets a shout-out from us here at Team Steezy for stopping what would have been a Buster Posey RBI double. Taylor Trammell, center fielder for the Seattle Mariners, said of the catch, "I was going absolutely crazy. It was sick. I'm a strong believer that this is a game of momentum, a game of vibes as well. So momentum and the vibes were in our favor. There was no doubt in my mind that we were going to win this game." Next up, we got to talk about Yusei Kikichi's amazing start. Yusei Kikichi's April 2nd outing and his first outing of the 2021 season is some of the best pitching we have seen from him since he started playing baseball in the United States. Over the course of the game, he sent 10 San Francisco Giant players down on strike. Over the course of the game, he struck out 10 San Francisco Giants batters, the likes of which include Evan Longoria and even Buster Posey. Many of his rolling fastballs were piercing the zone upwards of 97 miles per hour. Compare that to his usual average of right around 94 or 95. Manager Scott Severus said, "We're really excited about what Yusei Kikichi fired out there tonight." That's the kind of stuff, the focus and attack mentality we've been talking about. For him to come along with, I think, 80% first pitch strikes tonight, he was up to 10 strikeouts. That's as dominant of an outing as we've seen him have. Those were things we liked. Let's take a look at things that I'm not a huge fan of over the last week. Here are the misses. First up for the misses, James Paxton's short-lived return. It was only a couple years ago that James Paxton really established himself as a reliable rotation pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. So understandably, a lot of us were really excited when he made his way back home from the New York Yankees. Well, the big comeback trip may already be over. MLB Network insiders report that James Paxton has been recommended Tommy John surgery by his team doctor. Paxton was pulled from the game only about 24 pitches into his return to the Mariners. James Paxton said, "It's just frustrating. I feel like for me, it's kind of been one thing after another. I work really hard and doing everything I can to be out there, and I'll continue to do so." Comment below to wish James Paxton a speedy recovery. Our next miss for the week, Marco Gonzalez's 2021 season is off to an iffy start. Mariners fans, all of us here in Seattle, were not by any means expecting Marco Gonzalez to immediately fill the void left by the departing Felix Hernandez. But we were expecting him to pitch the way that an opening day starter should pitch, and that has not been the case. Marco's only 2 games into the season, and it's apparent that batters from other teams already have his. He's only pitched about 10 innings total in 2 games. And has given up 5 home runs. Most recently, he gave up a couple to the Minnesota Twins in a devastating 10-2 loss. Marco said of the loss, "Early on, I thought I made some good pitches. I didn't quite execute when I needed to, and got myself into trouble with a couple of their bigger hitters. I'm frustrated to say the least. Obviously, I have a high standard for myself in executing pitches and being able to keep control of the ballgame, keep us in it, and giving us a chance to win. They are all things that I pride myself on, and I just haven't got the job done." Well, that's the news for the Seattle Mariners. Those are things I like, things I didn't. Let's take a look around the rest of the league. Here's the big league news. Our first story, did Eloy Jimenez die? No. The answer is no, he did not. He's very alive and well. But following the stunt that the Chicago White Sox pulled, you would be forgiven for believing the contrary. Jimenez suffered a pectoral injury after taking a bump in the outfield during spring training. This made him unable to play on opening night. The White Sox wanted to do something to honor him, to send a little tribute to him. And so this is what they did. I'll put a graphic up. This is what they did. They made it look like he up and died. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. A ton of people on Twitter responded, and they actually got RIP Eloy trending on Twitter. Can you imagine being Eloy Jimenez, logging into Twitter and seeing RIP Eloy trending? We're going to show some We're going to show some of the highlights on what resulted over the course of the day. One of my favorites, as a Twitter user said, Eloy Jimenez, I hope you're hitting a big honking dinger off of St. Peter right now, my dude. We miss you. Which reminds me, like the video to pay respects to Eloy. May God rest his soul. And our final story tonight, the MLB All-Star Game has been pulled out of Atlanta. The 2021 All-Star Game is officially not taking place in Atlanta. A few days after the announcement was made, it was said that Colorado would host the All-Star Game, with the Rockies taking all the hosting duties. This only leaves them only a handful of months to really put together a brand for the market. This is something that is usually done years in advance. In my opinion, the obvious choice would have been to send it to LA. That's where it was supposed to be in 2020 before the pandemic canceled the game. The logos had already been drawn up, the uniforms had already been stitched, the stadium had already been branded. I don't see why they didn't just send it there. But the decision to pull out of Atlanta is the result of the state of Georgia passing some very restrictive voter laws, and MLB wanting to distance themselves from that. This is the first All-Star game that the Rockies have hosted since 1998. One of the players in that game, Vinny Castilla, who actually played for both the Rockies and the Atlanta Braves during his career, said he's really happy with the decision. He said, I was really happy for the organization, for the city, and it brings back a lot of memories. When I was in the game in 1998, it was one of the best experiences as a baseball player in my career. The Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game, that was a great moment being part of that game here in Denver. Before we call it a night, I do want to express a little bit of thoughts on the subject matter at hand here. MLB's decision is abrupt, but I do believe it to be the morally correct choice. Pulling business out of an area that may be controversial altogether is a good way to just stay neutral in the matter, but also continuing, it's a little redundant, but continuing the continuity of the All-Star Game after we had to miss it a year ago is the best choice. Sending it out west never hurt anybody, and hopefully the fans in Atlanta can understand the situation at hand. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. We're actually coming up pretty close here to 2,000 subscribers. That's really exciting, and you could be a part of it. All you have to do is click. From Mabanglo and Team Steezy, have a great week. We'll see you next week with more baseball content.